This is video 53 of my Empire Total War United Provinces campaign that's been fought on hard. It's the winter of 1710, I believe. Yes, it's still the winter of 1710. So I've had about 20 gain turns. Just checking around Europe before I move into Mexico and make my changes up there. Upgrading some of the troops if I can do. I need to look into those areas that are at most at risk. If you remember, there was an attack that went straight past the fort that I've got in France and went straight through into the centre of my capital area, so I do need to be careful the number of troops that I have there. Here we are in Mexico. If you remember, I've sent a sloop over to Cuba to pick up some excess troops that I had from there. Just moving those in now to join with the expeditionary force that I left on the coast of Mexico. If you remember, during the last turn end, the Spanish came out from Mexico and attacked the British because I didn't have any troops on land, so they went for them. So the British did me a bit of a favour by fighting them, and so now we're going to go and have a look at Mexico, reinforced with extra troops. We're going to go over there and see exactly what he has got in there. I'm putting the fleet in there, of course, because I want to secure that route back directly through the harbour. And also I need to drop off my new troops. So drop those off separate. I do this because when you mix the fleets it's hard to know which armies are on which ships and everything, so I do it separately. Seems to be the easiest way. Gather them all together there. You see how he's sort of stabbing with his sword there? That means that's a trade route that he's that he's occupying there. So anyway, we're up here in Mexico, and you can see he's got a reinforcing army. The temptation is to attack the city. What will happen is his reinforcing army will come in there and it will struggle. It's a similar size to my own army as well, so I don't want to tackle that. Same tactic as I had when I landed on the shore in the first place, just to hold that and make him come and attack me, give myself the advantage. We've got very much a defensive army, remember, we are English. I'm sorry now, we're in Europe of course, but I just need to explain why I've decided not to go ahead with an attack there. I'm sieging that, so he will lose men the longer the siege goes on. He's bound to attack me. Just checking Europe before I decide to end the turn. And here's the end turn now. So we'll go through Britain and France as normal. This time we will also show some Austria, because I'm going to go all the way on to Spain, because normally each nation goes through at the term end, but I only show the first couple normally. But on this occasion Spain is going to be important to us because they're going to be the ones that are attacking us. More than likely they're in Mexico. Okay, we're turning from the winter of 1710 into the summer of 1711. The Austrians, so you get a chance to see what the Austrians are doing this time as well. They seem to be reinforcing that army that was routed by the Hanoverians and went to Westphalia. Oh no, he's having reinforced them, he's bringing them back out again. That's good news for me, because I was a bit worried about having an army in Westphalia that was so close to me. Right, and here come the Spanish in Mexico. See what I mean? Similar sized armies. He's got a mixture of troops as well. He's got horse, he's got guns. He's also got some melee troops there, those Indians there, probably Mexican Indians, I'm not sure, but they're tomahawk armed, and they've got a much higher melee value than any of my troops, so you can bet they'll go crashing in like wailing banshees. I've cut out a little bit here because on the setup, which is what we're doing now, my troops were well over to the left of this position. What I've done is I've positioned all my troops behind this quite large stone wall that I can see, but I couldn't deploy them actually up to the wall. I could only get them as far as you see them now. That's the demarcation line, the red line. So what I'm doing is, as soon as the game started, I've paused the game, and I've set my troops to move against that stone wall as soon as the game starts. Now, the reason why I've done this like this is because if you group them all and then move them all towards a stone wall, it won't work. You have to do this deployment at a stone wall with individual units. Now, you remember I said he's got some melee armed infantry. He's also got some horse there as well. So I'm going to want to have a reserve of some shock troops, because you do get an advantage for charging in, and my men are going to be behind a wall, protected behind a wall, because he has artillery. Also, he's got regular troops, so I want the advantage of doing one-to-one fire with him by being behind a stone wall. The trouble is that it means that I can't then charge him, so when his melee troops come rushing in, I'm going to be at a distinct advantage. To give you an idea of the stats, it's something like I've got melee strength 6. You'll notice, by the way, that there's no plug bayonet option anymore on there, so that's because I've now got the ring bayonet. It gets damaged as you fight on. It's not as good as a socket bayonet, but it is a bit of a plus. So imagine my men fight on a 6, and let's say they've got a +2 for the type of bayonet that they've got now. That gives them an 8. Now, these infantry that are charging against them here have probably got, say, an 8, maybe even a 9 on melee strength, but they get something like a +13 when they charge in. So that initial charge is going to be devastating for me. So what I'm doing is holding back some reserve, just having a close-up now look at his infantry as they march in. There is regular infantry. Before then we were looking at the Indians that I was talking about, and that's right, looking over from their angle over to my lines as well. Yeah. So anyway, reserve infantry, you can see that I've got there. The idea of that will be to charge into him when he charges my troops out the wall. So in other words, my men will be charging almost into the backs of my own men. Or indeed, if my men were to rout at the wall from the shock of the charge, then they can charge in and cover any gaps that are created in the line. It's important in 18th century warfare, of course, to maintain a good line formation. Okay, so those are the overall tactics. This is all about, him approaching me on the battlefield, me having deployed. I've cut out about 10 minutes of me looking at all the topography and then putting my troops in this part of the battlefield to spare you all the tedium of all that planning. I can summarise that much more easily by explaining it to you. I'm just withdrawing those a little because I want them to be behind the brow of the hill, and they're quite a dense formation, so if any artillery can reach them, even when they're over the brow of the hill, obviously they'll be protected by that brow as well. I can't do anything at all about that artillery. It's highly ineffective anyway, but guns in this game will fight forever, so he could just stand there and just shell and shell and shell and shell, and on a limitless game it could take many, many, many hours. Yeah, looks like I've taken a hit on there, so I do need to be a bit careful. Yep, 1 or 2 casualties down there. We're still over the... I thought we were over the brow of that hill. I might need to retire those a bit further, but I just don't want to get them too far away, because, like I said, these are my reserve. I do want them to be in a position where they can join the action. There's a double stone wall there. I've decided to go behind the second one. The idea behind that is that if I am attacked by the melee infantry there, then he'll have to go over that wall in order to assault me at the second wall. Now, I don't get any advantages for defending a wall, but I'm hoping I get some disorganisational factor on him because he has to go over that first wall. That's the rationale behind it. And of course I've put my weaker troops there as well. I say weaker not in terms of numbers, but in terms of fighting ability. So I've got my militia behind that double wall. There you come. It looks like he's going for a flanking movement. Anyway, this is all the setup of the battle. We will be fighting the main battle on the next video, so please come and join us on that one.